Hi everybody, we're going to work still looking at doing black and white conversions in Photoshop CS6. This is a poppy seed head I shot with an off-camera bare flash just off center above, just to cast these shadows underneath. Bit of white paper underneath just to blow some light back in again, and I've just touched it up around the back just to give it a black background. Then what I'm going to do is just make this into a simple black and white, and from there onwards we're going to start looking at transferring data from different history states. It's not going to blow your mind, it's going to be very simple. It's for those of you who don't really want to use masks or layers, that kind of thing. We can transfer data from one black and white conversion to another, and this is how I'm going to show you. Just make sure, by the way, if you're in CS6, go to your workspace and just make sure for the moment you're in your photography workspace area. You might want to have a favourite one. You might have set your own workspace up in CS6. Really, just go into your photography one. It'll set up something like this. You'll have your histograms and your adjustments and your properties and everything. So if we go into adjustments, you'll see here with this little one, which is the black and white one. If we just click on that, that's going to give us a very basic black and white conversion. Have a look around your image and see what you like about it. I quite like that. Don't forget, if you really want to have a quick scan through, just scroll through the presets that already come preloaded in CS6. You might have some presets which you've set up yourself. Have a look through those as well. And I'm assessing, when I'm doing this, I'm looking at things and I'm looking how what on the image I really like, and I like that down there. Maybe have that a bit darker. I could go in there and then just grab in there and just slide that around. You can see the sliders on the right hand side there going up and down. And it's a very simple way of converting a black and white just using the adjustment panel. I could flatten that now and save it out, and we could be finished. But I want to show you something a bit different, and this is your basic working with history. And we're going to look at history with blend modes and whatever else. And what I'm going to do is call out my history, which is over here. Now, if you've not got history showing, let's just go to Window. Just make sure that history is clicked on in your Window menu here, so we can get the history up. And as you can see, we've got this black and white conversion. We just take the black and white layer. We're still working layers. I want you to flatten this, so you can either go layer flatten, whatever, down the bottom here, flatten an image, Control E or merge visible. Doesn't matter what you do. If you're comfortable with shortcuts, then just go to Control E. That'll flat things down. In your history box over here, you've got some little things. And the only one I'm really interested in talking to you today about is this one, which looks almost like a Fuji X1 Pro. So it's a little camera there, and I'm going to click on that. And I'm just going to call this one Mono. You might want to call it something else. And that's our black and white first conversion. And let's go back into history again. And then we flatten the image there. Let's just go back one step. And let's do a different conversion. So on your adjustment panel here, there's this little arrow which goes backwards. That'll just wind back your conversion to what it was before. Choose something else. Let's have a look at that one. So I'm going to flatten this again, Control E. I'm going to take another snapshot, which is this little camera icon here. Just rename this one Mono 2. Just to help us to look at things as we're going through. So that's our first mono conversion. That's our second one. You can see they're quite different. But how can we add data from one of these to the other one? Well, you could create a new document if you want to. New document, then drag one over the top of the other one, add a mask, paint through it, blah blah blah. We don't do that. We're going to use a history brush. Now the history brush is located over here. You can see this brush here with a little arrow next to it. We just push down on there. It says history brush. Just make sure you're going into the history brush and not the art history brush. Okay, see the shortcut there is Y. Just select the history brush, and we're going to use this one here and transfer data into this one here. So I'm going to click next to this one, which puts the history brush there next to there. And we're going to transfer data into this one, which is our dark one here. So just to show you again, that's where we're taking data from. This is where we're going to put it to. Let's get rid of that again. You can see there it's blued out, so that's the state we're going to be working on, the layer state we're working on. And it's a brush. So just make sure to start with, you've got a soft brush. All the hardness is taken out of it. We're going to be working at about 20%, so you can either take slider down or you can use your keyboard shortcut and hit 2, and that should take it down to 20%. And what we're going to do, because our brush is taking data from here, we're going to paint it into this one here. So let's have a look and see what happens. So only working at 20%, and you can see straight away I'm just painting that black and white conversion into this one. So if I go 0, it'll take it up to 100%. You'll see there at the top. Let's just paint the whole lot in there. So I've painted one conversion into another one using history. So that's the basics of your history brush. You're actually just transferring data from one to the other. It works with colour, it works with most things. If you take a snapshot, you can transfer data from one state to another. But not only that, you can actually now do things with that. And the first thing we're going to do is to look at the edit menu. So if you go to the edit menu over here, you'll see just down there is a shortcut Shift Control F, or there's a fade history brush. Now this only works on your last brush stroke. So like on the last one there, I did a continuous brush stroke. It'll only work on that one. So it doesn't go back in history itself. I can actually take that down and then just use it to taste. So you've got this option here. Now this disappears completely. If you then go back in and start painting again, this history state disappears. You can't go back into it and use the fade option. So if I just cancel that, if I just go back to a different state and go to edit, you see there the fade option has disappeared. It's only on the last state you worked on, or the last brush stroke you worked on, which can actually, it's probably gone again because we've actually gone backwards and forwards. So if you are thinking of fading the history or fading your brush work, you've got one chance of doing it basically, and that's it. Okay, now if you make a mistake, of course, you just go back in history. So you might want to go there. And now I'm going to show you a different option really, and that's using blend modes, because you actually use blend modes with your history brush. So we're still using data from here and we're going to transfer it into there. Now I'm going to change the blend mode of the history brush to hard light. If you've been on some of my other tutorials, you know that if we go hard light, we're going to brighten up the whites and darken down the dark areas. I'm at 100%. If I just paint on here, you see what happens straight away. We're getting a much darker black, a black in fact, but we're bringing up those lighter tones. Now remember what I said to you, we've got the option, while I release that brush, the fade history brush command is there, and you can see there it's telling me that I'm in hard light. It's actually, well, the brush is up, when the brush option's up there, it really is in hard light. We can take that down, but what you can do while you're in this fade option is you can actually change your blend mode. So you can see there, scroll mouse activated, you can scroll through. I mean, we're in hard light. You might want to see what it looks like in overlay. Okay, so slight difference. So this is for working with subtle changes within your black and white, so you want to really polish things up. And you can do it without actually using layer masks. You can actually do it with one. So the next thing I want to do is to show you how to paint into one layer in one history state using a brush in a blend mode option. So let me just get rid of this, and I'm just going to get rid of this as well. So if you just highlight it and hit the bin button, I won't delete snapshot too. So really I'm only going to be working with this one snapshot. You see I'm highlighted blue, I'm working with the brush, I'm working with the brush in, let's go for multiply. I'm going to work at 100%. I'm just going to increase the brush size, so use my square brackets to take it up here. And I'm just going to paint in the middle here, and you can see straight away, just by painting on there, I'm actually taking data from this image, painting it back into this image using a blend mode. And you see on this history state here, if we go back into our edit fade option, I've got the option to change that blend mode in there. I can take the opacity down in that, bring it back up again. So I've got the options of blend mode, opacity, and I'm working in one layer. That's all we're doing. We're working in a single layer. There's no masking, there's no erasing, there's no selecting, there's no anything really, just one layer and a paintbrush. and that's one of the ways you can really make your black and whites polished. I suggest when you do this that you actually go and work with some colour work as well, and look at working with your opacities and your multiply. Remember, this only works, this edit fade option only works on your last history state. If I then click this OK, if I go back and then try and get into there again, you see it's disappeared. So that option to actually fade and change the blend mode on your paintbrush disappears once you've used it and gone on to something else. So let's have a quick look again. You can see there, and you can do all kinds of things with this. Again, you can actually paint in there maybe with a hard light or whatever. We can do that. Let's go for overlay and then just paint on here, and you can see what's happening. If I keep the mouse down on it, I've got the option to go back in and edit and fade things again, and I can just take that out and bring it back in again. So I'm not using any layers whatsoever. Practice this. It'll change the way you approach Photoshop. Maybe have a look at what the blend modes do. Blend modes, very important in Photoshop, blend modes. Once you get a hang of blend modes, once you get a hang of this history brush technique, you should see an you've got new options basically in your processing techniques. So that makes sense. Play it again if it doesn't make sense. We're really just transferring data from one state to another, and then we looked at transferring data into itself. So we just got one layer open. We can do the same thing if we go back to our color option here, and if I just put the history brush next to it, we've got the blue open option there. I'm just going to increase my brush size, and you can see there it works on color as well. So it's one of those little tricks that's in Photoshop. You don't often hear about this kind of thing, but you do for me. And you can work in there. Remember, edit, fade history brush. You want another shortcut than you can do. Have a look at it. You can change the blend mode. Tricks, EA. Okay, have fun with that. Thanks for calling by. Don't forget, bobacrossthemaxblackphotos.com. Have a look and see what I'm doing. I'm putting lots of projects together at the moment, and there's lots of info and stuff on my site as well. Thanks again for looking, and until next time, bye for now.